Assalamu alaikum. This is Jasir Kabir, Brother Jasir Kabir at the Do4Self Academy, Temple of Islam. I want to make something kind of clear today as far as what it is we should be doing. Um, just bear with me for a second, if you don't mind. We get this technology together. There we go. It's hard to see outside. Assalamu alaikum. I got something I want to cover from this book. It's a book I put together, started putting this book together probably around 15 years ago, and maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago, we finally had it published. And this book is titled The Exponential Effects of Hypocrisy, the Venomous Sting of Malcolm Little. I want to specifically deal with the FBI COINTELPRO. Unfortunately, I lost my glasses, my reading glasses, and I have a disease called CSS, and I just can't see without them. And I don't feel like running to the store. Every time I buy some, I break them or lose them. So I'm gonna do a mooch joint right now. I'm gonna put two sides together. In this book, I'm gonna deal with the FBI COINTELPRO, and I want the listeners, and I'm not gonna be long. The alarm should go off in a few minutes. This is taken from this book, The Exponential Effects of Hypocrisy, the Venomous Sting of Malcolm Little, formerly Malcolm X. This book is less about Malcolm than it is of the effects of Malcolm's hypocrisy and defection, slander, and gossip. Chapter 9 is titled The FBI COINTELPRO. Let us understand what happened. This is in Chicago, January 7th, 1969. Counter-intelligence, black nationalists, hate groups, racial intelligence. And this particular intelligence piece of information is directly an attack on the nation of Islam. And I'm going to start by reading it. I suggest you all try to find it and read it yourselves. It says, Although the Nation of Islam does presently advocate violence by its members, the group does preach hatred of white race and racial separatism. The membership of the NOI is organized and poses a real racial threat. The NOI is responsible for the largest black nationalist newspaper, which has been used by other black extremists. The NOI appears to be the personal fiefdom of Elijah Muhammad. When he dies, a power struggle can be expected, and the NOI could change direction. We should work for this eventuality. We should plan how to change the philosophy of the NOI to one of the strictly religious and self-improvement orientation, deleting the race hatred and separate hood aspects. In this connection, Chicago should consider what counterintelligence action might be needed now or at the time of Elijah Muhammad's death to bring about such a change in NOI philosophy. Considerations should include the identity, strengths, and weaknesses of any contenders for NOI leadership. What are the positions of our informants in regard to leadership? How could potential leaders be turned or neutralized? How could potential leaders be turned or neutralized? The alternative to changing the philosophy of the NOI is the destruction of the organization. This might be accomplished through generating factionalism among the contenders for Elijah Muhammad's leadership, or through legal action in probate court on his death. Chicago should consider the question of how to generate factionalism necessary to destroy the NOI by splitting into several groups. I'm not going to be long today. But it appears to me that the people who claim to believe in Islam as taught by Elijah Muhammad from Master Fard Muhammad are really followers of J. Edgar Hoover. Instead of calling these men FOI, how about we call them FBI? Because they are manifesting right out of the playbook of the Federal Bureau of Investigations in the year 1969. And this was 6 years prior to Messenger Elijah Muhammad's physical passing. There were informants sitting right there next to the messenger, eating at his table. There were informants throughout the nation, weakness, hypocrisy, and some of everything. So let's bring this up to modern time. From what I understand, it was a man. I'm not going to call him a brother because he's not a brother. I'm just going to call him a man, or so-called man. From what some information that I was able to gather, and he's not the first person that has done this, but he's the most recent. He's on record as advocating that factionalism and splitting up into several sects, various sects, is okay. I haven't actually heard it, so I don't be false accusing him or anyone else of anything else. And I haven't done a lot of thorough investigation to say exactly what it is. But I don't need to hear a video or hear a speech. I just go by actions. And from the actions of the men and women who claim to believe in Islam as taught by Elijah Muhammad, this is the lost foundation of Islam has been split into factionalism. And every time you turn around, one faction dies off, and there are splinters from these factions. So you start looking at the climate within the lost foundation of Islam, and what we see is um, a overabundance of factionalism. Now, when you go to the Holy Quran, I think Surah 6, Ayat 159, or 160, depends on which book you have, it speaks to this. And as well as the Messenger of Allah, he talked about this, about splitting up and dividing themselves up, black people dividing themselves up, taking, you come to Islam and you get some knowledge, but it's not enough knowledge to keep you from doing this terrible act. And you can find this particular article in the book Fall of America, titled The Destruction of America's Education. So I will be back shortly. I don't know when. I got a lot of work to do out here today. I'm trying to build a shed. This is a great day because of the time period that we live in. We have at our disposal the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to be able to overcome Yaqub's civilization. But what we don't have is an adequate number of healthy and productive black men. And it appears that, the inadequate number of black men will show up into the future, way in the future, probably when Hawk start delivering my mail. So we put these things on, not for you today, but for people coming in the future. You say that you believe that the scientists write history 25,000 years in advance, and then you can't project 500 years in advance with the greatest wisdom that has ever come to people in the history of civilization. So praise be to Allah. We are grateful for this wisdom, and we are grateful to be able to renew our history. The teachings of separation is wholesale rejected by probably 99.9% of the people who claim to believe in Islam. That's men and women, and who suffer the most are the children. My name is Jasir, Jasir, Khabir, and I am the teacher at the Do4Self Academy, Temple of Islam. Wherever I am, I'm the teacher of the Do4Self Academy, Temple of Islam. I don't need to be in a building. I can do it out here on 5 acres of land. I can do it sitting in one of my trucks. I can do it back there, as the country folks said, back yonder in the woods. I can teach Islam anywhere I am. And that's what the messenger did. So those of you who are advocating that, the only temples exist are your physical buildings, you're still very much blind, deaf and dumb to the reality of Islam. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a building, but I'm saying that it's not necessary to go to a building to look for truth. It's not necessary to go to a place or a house of truth. He said you will be the truth in that day. And that doesn't mean that all of us who like to enunciate those words are actual temples. That doesn't mean that. And all of this is lined out in the book. One of my daughters, she said, Dad, all people got to do is read the book, because everything that you say is in the book. Yeah, that's true. Praise be to Allah. This book, you should get a copy of it. It is a very hard read. I must admit that, because this was my first time writing a book. I've written a lot of articles about Islam, about, this effect of hypocrisy. But at the same time, I did the best I could in expressing this particular time period and this viewpoint. So I think it's a great book to read, to understand the truth and be honest with oneself about the time period in which we are in. So That's all I got. It's 12 o'clock. My alarm going off. I said I was going to stop at 12 o'clock, which means that it's prayer time. So wherever you are, you can just pray your noon prayer. That's what I'm about to do. Assalamu alaikum. Shut this down. Thank you for listening. Um, Hope you got something out of it. I was covering the chapter 9, I believe, dealing with the FBI COINTELPRO. Figure out how to turn this thing off.